In a world filled with ancient prophecies and modern fears, one enigma stands out: the mark of the beast. This mysterious symbol foretold in the book of Revelation has captivated minds for centuries, sparking debates, controversies, and even fears of a looming apocalypse. Few symbols evoke such an intrigue and fear as the mark of the beast. Across cultures and centuries, the mark of the beast has been both a harbinger of doom and a symbol of power. From its cryptic description in ancient texts to its speculated manifestations in the digital age, what is the meaning of the mark? What does it truly symbolize? And how has it been interpreted throughout history? The mark of the beast, the rapture, tribulation. These words are very common when being raised in a Christian household, and at a young age these words molded me and my beliefs about God and the impending future. Growing up in church, the ideas of the rapture and the mark of the beast were always looming in the background of our theologies and eschatological teachings. They served in purpose to almost scare us into serving God and being faithful to the end, so that way we wouldn't have to endure missing the rapture and being here for the tribulation. Hearing all of this at a young age both intrigued me and frightened me to my core. But as a kid, and even now, one thing in particular really stuck out to me: the mark of the beast. What is the mark of the beast? I had heard what my youth pastors, parents, and even conspiracy videos on the internet had said about it. People have speculated that the mark of the beast could be a tattoo in the symbol of 666, social security cards, microchips implanted into your hand, the COVID vaccine, and now even artificial intelligence and AI. But none of these theories resonated within me. In my spirit, I felt like there was something more to the story, something so deep that could change the very way we think and act today. So I set out on a quest to see what the Bible really said about the mark of the beast, and most importantly, what it means for us today. Throughout history and even now, people have always been fascinated with the end of time. From famous paintings to Victorian literature to post-apocalyptic dramas, and even Christian movies such as the Left Behind series, we humans continue to fantasize about the end of the world. Both in the secular and Christian spheres, we have always speculated what might happen at the end of the age, taking bits and pieces from the book of Revelation and creating literal theologies around a book of the Bible that was written allegorically. Which, for those of you who do not have a theology degree, an allegory is a popular form of literature in which a story points to a hidden or symbolic parallel, meaning certain elements such as people, things, and happenings in the story point to a corresponding element in another realm or level of meaning. This is not to say that the book of Revelation isn't true or that it isn't the direct word of God, but think of it as a parable. When Jesus taught, he used many parables and strong, vivid imagery to get his point across. When he said, "You're a city on a hill," he wasn't literally calling us a city. He was speaking to the degree of light and life we have within us. Or when he says, "I am the door," he wasn't literally a door made of wood. He was painting a picture for people to understand exactly what he was saying. So when John says he saw a woman riding on a dragon, or a beast coming from the sea with the body of a leopard, feet of a bear, mouth of a lion, that had 7 heads, 10 horns, and 10 crowns on each horn, I do not believe he meant those things literally. So in the context of the mark of the beast in Revelation 13:16 through 18, I do not think the mark of the beast will be a physical, literal one, but a metaphorical, spiritual one. Revelation 16 through 18 says, "It also causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell things unless he has the mark, that is, the name of the beast or the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Let the one who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of man, and his number is 666. When it says this calls for wisdom, I believe John is trying to say, let's look deeper into what's being described here. There are a few things that I want to point out from this verse. The first is the mark of his name. The mark that Revelation 13 is talking about is not a literal mark, but a signet seal. According to Strong's Concordance, the seal, or brand marking, was an impress on a coin or seal used by an engraver on a die, stamp, branding iron, and later became an identification marker, like with an ownership's unique brand mark. Throughout history, rulers and high-ranking officials would have a signet ring to seal documents or sign laws into place. This would be like their signature, and whoever saw that seal knew the ruler's name was attached to it. In an excerpt from the book Bearing God's Name by Carmen Imes, she says, "In the ancient Near East, a common way of declaring ownership of something or of affirming its authenticity was to seal it with a signet ring. Clay tablets often bore the stamp seal of those authorizing their contents or agreeing to its stipulations. Jars of wine or olive oil were sealed shut by means of a blob of clay bearing the authorized seal of a producer, confirming the quality of the product. Seals have even been found bearing the name of a deity." The second is the placement, specifically the right hand and forehead. Remember, the book of Revelation is not to be taken literally, but allegorically. In Bible times, the right hand represents your actions and deeds, and the forehead represents the way that you think and reason, meaning your actions and reasoning lines up to and represents the beast. His name is on your thoughts and actions, and you operate and act according to the beast's system. So, if the way you think and act lines up with the beast's image, your life is marked as a representative of the beast and his system. In the Bible, anytime someone did something that lined up with the beast's image, they were described and seen as that which they represented, the beast. To better understand this concept, let's go all the way back to Genesis 4. Cain was becoming angry that Abel's offerings were being accepted and his weren't. So God came down and said, "Why are you angry? And why has your countenance fallen? If you do well, you will not be accepted. And if you do not do well, sin lies at the door, and its desire is for you, but you should rule over it." A closer look at the Hebrew text and what God is saying, he's actually describing sin like a beast waiting at the door to devour Cain. But Cain can rule over the beast by not giving in to its temptations. But unfortunately, like a beast in the field, Cain allows the beast to mark his life by giving in to its desires, by murdering his brother in cold blood. Or even look at King Nebuchadnezzar. He slaughtered the people of Israel, took them in as slaves, and made them worship a false idol. But as a consequence of his beastly actions, Daniel 4:33 says he was driven away from his people and ate grass like an ox. His body was drenched with the dew of heaven until his hair grew like the feathers of an eagle and his nails like claws of a bird. Even Jesus calls the Pharisees a brood of vipers because what was in their heart was evil. But like the seal of the beast, did you know that Revelation 7 talks about another mark? "And I saw another angel coming up from the east, carrying the seal of the living God. And he shouted to the 4 angels who had been given power to harm the land and sea, 'Wait, do not harm the land or the sea or the trees until we have placed the seal of God on the foreheads of his servants.'" So just like how people, when they act in the way of the beast, they carry his name and seal, we can operate in the way of God's kingdom and carry his name and the seal in the earth, representing him in all we do. 1 Peter 2:9 says, "But you are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for his own possession, that you may proclaim the excellencies of him who has called you out of darkness and into his marvelous light." The one phrase that really stood out to me in this verse was a royal priesthood. Because in Exodus 28, it describes the high priestly garments, and God tells Moses what the priests should wear, from robes to a chest plate with 12 stones representing each tribe of Israel. Their attire was beautiful and stunning. But one thing really jumped out to me in verses 36 through 38. He told Moses, "You shall make a plate of pure gold and engrave on it, like the engraving of a signet, holy to the Lord. And you shall fasten it on the turban by a cord of blue. It shall be on the front of the turban. It shall be on Aaron's forehead, and Aaron shall bear any guilt from the holy things that the people of Israel consecrated as their holy gifts. It shall regularly be on his forehead, that they may be accepted before the Lord." And again, for the people in Deuteronomy 6 through 9 says, "And you must commit yourselves wholeheartedly to these commandments I'm giving you today. Repeat them again and again to your children. Talk about them when you're at home and when you're on the road, when you're going to bed and when you're getting up. Tie them to your hands and wear them on your forehead as a reminder. Write them on your doorpost of your house and on your gate." So God even says that he has put his name on his people, that they are his people and he will be their God. So this shows me that we are marked by God's name and become his representatives of his kingdom when we operate and walk in all of his ways. How we live our lives is so important because we either represent God's kingdom or the beast's. How we think, act, and respond to people and situations is so crucial. The mark of the beast is not a literal mark, but it has literal impact on the world around us by what we do and how we treat people. If we tear people down, we steal their joy and peace, and operate from a place of self-gain, we are aligning ourselves to the beast, and we are carrying his name. But when we crucify our flesh, turn the other cheek, and even bless our enemies, we show the world that we are God's chosen people and that we are representing his kingdom. As we conclude this exploration into the mark of the beast, we are left with a profound realization. This symbol, often viewed with fear and uncertainty, is not a physical mark but a spiritual one. It represents a choice we make every day to align ourselves with the system of the beast or to bear the mark of God's kingdom. Just as ancient rulers used signet seals to mark their authority, our actions and thoughts can mark us either as representatives of the beast or ambassadors of God's kingdom. The mark of the beast has been present throughout all of history, manifesting in the ways people think, act, and even treat other people. But equally, the mark of God is here, offering us a path to represent his kingdom on the earth. In this ongoing battle between two systems, let us choose wisely. Let us bear God's name and mark by aligning our thoughts and actions with his ways. In doing so, we can help usher in the fulfillment of Revelation 11:15, where the kingdoms of this world become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his Christ, and he shall reign forever and ever. The choice is ours. Will we bear the mark of the beast, or will we bear the mark of God's kingdom? Because the fate of the world lies in our hands.